Ever imagine opening TikTok and it's just gone? Poof, like it never existed.
Not just a thought experiment anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, this is serious then.
A federal appeals court just upheld a law, and this could mean a nationwide ban on TikTok. Unless, that is, ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, sells off its U.S. operations.
So no more dancing videos? Is that what we're talking about here?
It goes way deeper than that. This whole thing hinges on national security and how data can be used. The big worry is that the Chinese government might get its hands on all the data TikTok gathers. And that's a whole other can of worms. Think everything from your name and address to what websites you visit, where you go, even your private messages.
So it's not just about the Chinese government knowing I'm terrible at those dance challenges.
Right, it's way bigger. Imagine them using all that data to basically create a super detailed file on every American, and then using that for, well, who knows what. Propaganda, manipulation, the possibilities are scary.
Okay, point taken. This is a little unsettling, but what's TikTok saying about all this?
They're fighting back, for sure. Pledged to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. Their argument is that they've got super strong data security measures in place and that the U.S. government's just blowing things out of proportion.
Supreme Court, wow. So do they usually even take on cases like this? And how long could this whole thing drag on?
Honestly, it's a long shot. The Supreme Court only picks a tiny percentage of cases to hear. But if they do decide to hear it, we could be looking at months, maybe even years before they reach a decision.
So this ban, is there like an actual date it would happen?
Technically, it's supposed to kick in pretty soon, but there are a few things that could hold it up. Legal challenges, the government could extend the deadline, even politics could come into play and push things back.
Okay, so even if they decide to ban it, we might not see TikTok disappear overnight. So let's talk about what could actually happen. What are the most likely scenarios here?
Two big possibilities. First one, the simplest, is that ByteDance sells TikTok to an American company. That would make the U.S. government happy as far as security concerns go, and TikTok could probably keep running here without too much disruption.
Like when one tech giant swallows up another.
Yep.
Happens all the time, right?
Exactly. Think about Tumblr. Went from Yahoo to Verizon. Every time it changed hands, things were different for the platform and the users.
Yeah, it could totally change the app, how it looks, how it works, the whole 9 yards. What's the other scenario?
Things could get resolved through political negotiations. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because we're not just talking about one app anymore. It's international relations, trade deals, who's got the upper hand in tech. A whole mess.
So TikTok's basically a pawn in some giant global chess match. What kind of leverage does each side have here?
The U.S. has a big one, the American market. Getting shut out of that would be a huge hit for any tech company, especially one like TikTok that's trying to be a big deal worldwide. But China could hit back too. They could put restrictions on American companies over there, maybe even ban them altogether.
This is getting intense. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. What does all this mean for the average person who uses TikTok? Are they going to lose access to their favorite creators? What happens to all their data?
Honestly, it's uncharted territory. No one can say for sure. If the ban happens and ByteDance doesn't sell, yeah, U.S. users would lose access to TikTok. As for their data, that's the million-dollar question. TikTok might delete it or transfer it to a new owner, or maybe the U.S. government could even force them to hand it over.
A lot of unknowns right now. What does all this say about the future of the internet? Are we going to see governments trying to control or restrict access to online platforms more often?
This could definitely set a precedent. It raises some massive questions about the balance of power between governments and these big tech companies. And what about data privacy when our lives are so connected to online platforms? It's something we all need to think about, whether we're diehard TikTok fans or not.
A lot to ponder.
Ah!
Well, on that note, we'll leave you to do just that. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Thanks for having me.